Hello and welcome to another sphere video. Today we are talking about the RC6 spheres, but before we get into the RC6 spheres, I do want to point out that in the description down below, we have links to our Twitter page and our Discord server. So if you want to join our Discord server, talk about Bear Frontier, hang out, get help with raids, get help with building squads for difficult content, we would be more than happy to help you. And our Twitter page, you can just follow that to know when videos go live. If you checked out Twitter more than checked out, I don't know, whatever notification service you get for YouTube. Who knows? And if you like this video, leave a like down below at any points. That greatly helps out the channel. And subscribing if you want to see more videos like this, or if you want to see what other content we do. Hit that bell button to be notified through YouTube so you can be doubly sure of when videos go out. And I think that's about it for channel stuff. So yes, the RC6 spheres, there are actually 7 of them, believe it or not. I thought there were 6 of them. Turns out there's actually 7, more than I thought. And all of them are worth crafting, not for the spheres themselves, not for these ones in particular, but because they get crafted into even better spheres later on. Some of the best spheres in the game, like some of the more, and I'm gonna throw out this scary word, meta-relevant spheres. So definitely worth crafting for that alone, but also there's a record tied to it, so hey, a free record, why not? A little bit of advice if you're going to go through, when you do go through, because you are going to go through and craft these spheres most likely, you want to use the fortune boxes and fortune coffers to get the materials needed for these spheres, because otherwise they're pretty rare drops. So having a friend with you using fortune boxes and fortune coffers greatly helps out with getting the materials. It is very much a difficult process getting these spheres, but oh my gosh, is it worth it. It's very much worth it just to get that stepping stone to the better spheres. But enough faffing about, let's get into these spheres, starting off with War Demon's Blade. This is a pretty mediocre attack boosting sphere, to be honest. I mean, you do get spark and elemental damage boost, but it's only 50%. And you do get an attack boost, but only when your Bioergs gauge is full. So it's only decent. It's not that great. I mean, it might be great for older content if you're doing a retro challenge, but you're going to want to craft this sphere because this sphere right here gets made into one of the best spheres in the game, even among these best spheres in the game. So definitely worth crafting for that alone. The spark damage, elemental damage, both are nice to get more damage output in general. And it's an even amount, so hey, you're balancing out your spark and EWD, which is pretty nice. Up next, we have All-Seeing Eyes. This has the effect of negating style summons, boosting Bioergs gauge by 4 BC each turn, and boosting your Bioergs gauge by 2 to 3 BC when you take damage. So it's very much, it's a little bit of a defensive sphere, to be honest. It gives you some Bioergs gauge control, which is really nice. You want that on your units for sure. So if you're missing out on the last little bit of BC each turn, like that last 4 BC, this helps out with that. And also, the style summon negation is on a fair amount of spheres, but the fact that it's on this one makes it very nice to take less damage and less damage from poison and all of that, and just not getting affected with the style summons. Not much to say there. It's very self-explanatory. You don't want to be hit with style summons, and this prevents that. Sphere lock isn't in a lot of content, so you're not gonna be missing out on this effect at all. So yeah, it might be worth it for that at least. Who knows? I haven't done a retro challenge, I'll be honest, so you guys might know better than I would. Up next, we have Bioergs Armor. This gives you a 40% boost to all parameters. It heals each turn, and it heals 30% of the damage you take 40% of the time, so 40% chance to heal 30% of the damage you just took. So it's a bit of a defensive sphere. It's a bit of a mixed sphere. You get the defensiveness from healing each turn and taking less damage. So it's a form of mitigation, kind of. It's a chance, so it's not that great. So that last effect is kind of not, because it's not super consistent. It's not that great of an effect. But the parameter boost and the healing each turn, both of those are pretty nice. Up next, we have My Lord's Core. It has a 40% chance to inflict 20% damage taken. Chance to inflict style summons. I'm not going to go through the entire, I'm not going to say it out loud, it's on screen right now. and you heal 30% damage 30% of the time, so it's like Bioergs Armor, but a little bit less frequently. So Melord's Core with Bioergs Armor, if you have those two spheres on at the same time, you get, I think you can have that overlapping damage, like heal on damage, so you can get even more damage, like even more heal when you get damage, but like a higher chance of like healing when you take damage anyway. So there's like a lot of these spheres like synergize very well with each other. So you can like stack two of these spheres together with each other in the proper combination for more offense or more defense, or for a little bit of a more mix, and just like better round out your units. Like these spheres work really well with each other, as it turns out. Seeing as like what 3 of these 7, so that's about half, the lesser half of these spheres having heal on damage is pretty nice, to be honest. Up next we have Nature Shield. This is definitely a more defensive sphere. It's a damage reduction sphere for sure. 10% chance to take 1 damage. Boost BP gauge by 3 BC each turn, so it pairs up very nicely with All Seeing Eyes. 1 to 2 BC when damage, again, just like All Seeing Eyes. Heals each turn and heals 20 to 30% damage 30% of the time, so it pairs up very nicely with Bioergs Armor and Melord's Core. So you can pair up Nature Shield with one of those 3 spheres, honestly, and to like better round out to have a higher chance of getting all those effects and all that fun stuff. So Nature Shield is actually pretty nice to pair up with the last 3 spheres I talked about. Blazing Fists is next. This is a little bit like, this is probably the weakest sphere in my opinion, to be honest. 20% crit rate boost, 100% crit damage boost. That's pretty nice because that's more, you crit more often and you deal more crit damage. But crit does have a cap to it. It has a cap of 700%, and I think it starts off at 150. So yeah, it's not like super great for that alone. But you do get 46 BC on crit, which is very nice. And probably the worst effect on any of these spheres. It adds fire, water, earth, thunder elements to attack when you crit. The first time on the turn you crit, you get those 4 elements added to your attack, so it works better for light and dark units. But it's not super great because you don't get elemental damage boost for elements added to your attack. So if you're using a fire unit and you get water element added to your attack, you don't get water elemental damage, sadly. That doesn't work. So you just get like a little bit additional damage, but it's not a super massive amount. So it's ultimately not worth going for elements added to attack. It's just not that great of an effect anymore. So like a decent sphere for that BC on crit, but that's about it. Up next we have the Armor of Seals. This is actually probably the real weakest of all of these spheres. It gives you a 40% boost to all parameters. It boosts BC by 5, BB gauge by 5 BC. When you deal 10,000 damage, and I think it's the first time you deal it, and not the second time for each turn, so it's not super strong. And it boosts Brave Burst attack, Super Brave Burst attack, and UBB attack by 130%. Yeah, not a whole lot going on for it. Like, definitely the weakest, and really not, like, you want to craft it, but not for the sphere itself, for what it goes into. That's about it. Like, yeah, not a whole lot to talk about here. And last up, we have probably the best sphere, in my opinion, out of all of these 7. The Twilight Stone. 75% boost to spark damage, 1 to 2 BC on spark, heals on spark, and 50% extra spark damage 40% of the time, so spark crit. This is a spark sphere, which is really great. It works really well with War Demon's Blade because you get even more spark damage. The BC on spark is like one of the best effects in the game for BB gauge control. So if you're lacking like getting your BB gauge up every turn or before the turn ends, this sphere would definitely help out with it on top of other spheres that provide a similar effect that aren't spark spheres, because I believe Twilight Stone is indeed a spark sphere. But yes, all of these spheres are worth making for one reason or another. If anything, just so you can upgrade them with RC7. Because yes, these spheres are crafted into the RC7 spheres that I will be covering sometime in the next section of the sphere progression series. Which actually, this video marks the penultimate video of the for season 1 of sphere progression. I will get more into that in a later video. Don't worry about that. But yes, you want to craft all these spheres, each fortune boxes and fortune coffers during these RC6 quests to get these spheres, to get the materials a little bit more easily. Take in some friends to increase that chance even further. And yeah, that's about it. So I got all the stuff out of the way in the beginning. So with that, thank you once again for visiting the Grand Guide Library. See you guys in the next video. Bye!